Welcome to the Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me as he does every week from TheRinger.com is Dave Jacoby. Jacoby!
What's happening, Verno? Let's get it!
All right, let's get to your team. No Towns, no results?
No deuce. Listen, this is 3 games in a row. Like that Thunder loss on Friday night, which is the night that we did the pod, which feels like 3 years ago.
It does.
But that game was great. That Thunder loss on the road in a tight game, toe-to-toe, blow for blow, against the team with the best team in the Western Conference. That loss you walk away from, you're like, all right, like, not bad. We didn't win, but, you know, Brunson didn't play his best, Towns didn't play his best, and we went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the league. Although it's not a win, you can still walk away with your head high saying, we can beat that team. And they play again, actually, this Friday. But then you lose to the Bulls. And then last night, the Magic don't have Paolo.
Orlando Magic.
They
Orlando
don't
Magic.
have Franz. They don't have Suggs.
They don't have Mo Wagner.
They don't have that Wagner.
They don't have Gary Harris.
So you can always say, like, oh, well, the Knicks were missing Cat. But, like, that Knicks team should beat that Magic team, especially at home. And watching the game, there's just absolutely no energy in the Garden. Sort of like a Monday malaise after the holidays. They gave him nothing to cheer for. It was ridiculous. They shot 4 for 22 from 3. They couldn't, I don't even remember the 4. You know what? I'm going to audit that. I'm going to go back and audit. I don't think they hit 4. I don't remember a single 3. It was a mess. And it was just so low energy and so disheartening of a loss that it is a bit concerning. But, you know,
let's touch on that OKC game because I watched both of the OKC games. And everybody knows what I've had to say about OKC, that I think people are a little ahead of their skis, that the youngest team in the league is not the one to be thought of as running away from everybody.
But you know what they've done since you said that, right?
But my God. I mean, and watching them hold Boston to 27, like there were mirror images of those. And what was fascinating was to watch, not only do you have Gilgeous-Alexander, but also, you know, down the stretch of those games. So against the Knicks, it was okay. And once you get to the playoffs, your best guy very rarely gets to get you home. Like he is going to gather the extra attention. And so what happens is, and this is what happened where they played against, Dallas last year, and it's like, okay, it's not Luka that's killing us, but if we're going to have to live with PJ Washington getting open shots. We're going to have to live with Derrick Jones Jr. getting open shots. And likewise, and this is what's going to be fascinating as it comes playoff time, it's like, okay, when everybody loads up on Gilgeous-Alexander and tries to make his life hell. So when you watch the Knicks game, it's Aaron Wiggins. And Aaron Wiggins catches fire. Yeah, but then you get to the next game, and it's not Aaron Wiggins, it's Lou Dort. And it's like,
also stupid.
But the thing is, your second and third guys, when it comes to the playoffs, like what people are going to do, you game plan this, and you try to work it towards, we're going to try to push as many shots to the guys that we want taking the shots as we can. And at least for those 2 games where they're playing against the 2 elite teams, and obviously they've been doing it each and every night. Number one, their defense is absolutely smothering. And those guys are the ones that are stepping up, because you saw, as you're watching down the stretch of those games, Wiggins put that game away one night, Dort put that game away the other night. And I'm not trying to take away from Gilgeous-Alexander, hit some crazy floaters and amazing plays, and he's the one setting these guys up.
Oh, hell yeah.
But those are the guys that, your role players are the ones that have to be able to bang the open shots, because your best players are going to be getting extra attention.
So, Verno, I'm not very active on Twitter/X, but sometimes I get caught in the crossfires of the Oklahoma City fans coming for you.
Oh, my God.
Because I remember watching the Emirates NBA Cup final.
Yep.
And they got pushed around. They look small. They look young. They look underprepared. They looked like they were the junior varsity team playing the varsity team.
That's right.
And since that game, They've put so many pelts on their wall. They're like, wait, who are the best teams in the Eastern Conference? We'll beat them all. Like,
do you think I should get credit? Do you think I should get credit?
A little bit, but I walked away from that NBA Cup game because all the eyeballs were on it. We all kind of set time in our day to watch it, and they got pushed around. They look small. They look young. Since then, and they're playing the Cavs tomorrow night, and then they play the Knicks again. And if they beat the Knicks, the Celtics, the Cavs, and the Knicks again, like, I don't know what to say. I just give them the trophy already, dog. Like, I don't know what to say.
And they're still without Chet Holmgren and without Alex Caruso.
Yes, that's another great point. Whenever they show Holmgren in street clothes, I'm like, I don't even know what this team looks like with Hartenstein and Holmgren and and Daigneault will mix up lineups. That's one of the things he does. He's constantly mixing up lineups. He's got so much to play with.
And honestly, as I was watching it, I was like, am I just going to have to rethink all of this in terms of what I think about young teams and their ability to get
I'm sorry. I couldn't. The Oklahoma City fans, they couldn't hear you. Say it again, please.
Am I going to have to rethink all of this in terms of young teams and their ability to win at the highest level? The truth of the matter is this, Jacoby. The old teams win. No.
Yeah, there's not a lot of history.
No. The veteran teams win. Go look at it.
Yeah.
Think about your title. I mean, look how long it took Boston to get to that level. Look how long it,
Verno, look no further than this exact franchise with Westbrook, Durant, and Harden, and that team that got to the finals. You say to yourself, this young core, this so good, so early, dynasty. And we all know what happened then.
Right.
But, Verno, when we get together on Friday morning to do the pod, if this team beats up on the Cavs in Cleveland and then beats up on the Knicks in New York,
I may not show up.
Who can challenge them in the Western Conference? The Grizzlies?
All right.
With Yuki?
Waz can fill in on Friday.
Yeah.
If that happens, I'm out of here.
Shout out to Waz.
I'm not showing up. All right. Let's do a little my take, your take. We're going to each give a take, and then we will allow the other to respond. You want me to start?
Yep.
All right. So last year, Jacoby, one of the things I've been thinking about recently is that last year, and especially because I was watching the Mavs last night, which featured P.J. Washington on this team, Daniel Gafford on this team, that they made a deal when it came trade deadline time that swung the balance of power and enabled them to become a Western Conference finalist and an NBA finalist for that matter, right? It was something that they did to augment their team that got them there. If anybody wants to poke holes in the Indiana Pacers being at the level that they were last year, that's fine, but they were there. They made it to where they made it, and they made it in part because they took a big swing and added Pascal Siakam to the mix last year. And so one of the things that I've been thinking, and maybe it is going to be much more relevant in the Western Conference than it is the Eastern Conference, but we will see. I really believe that the finalists, if we are to say that we think Boston and Cleveland right now would be the favorites, okay, and or New York, none of those teams, you don't look at it. I would say New York could certainly add some depth to the mix, okay, if possible. But because that did show up in that Oklahoma City game, right? It is hard to have your best players playing minutes 37 through 44 when the other best players are playing minutes 27 through 34, right?
And that's the Tibbs way.
I understand.
Well documented. It's well documented.
I understand. Anyways, if we are to say that Oklahoma City is way ahead of everybody else, okay, in the Western Conference, and they have proven to be such thus far.
Fair to say, yeah.
Almost everybody else in that conference, when you look up and down, you go, what are they going to do to their team? Because there is nobody that you feel great about their opportunity to make the Western Conference Finals right now. Is that fair? Do you agree with that statement? Right now, Oklahoma City, let's go ahead and put them there. There is no one else you feel great if I said, hey, I'll give you $100. You can put it on any other team to be a Western Conference finalist.
It's feel great is hard to get to, but I will say that a healthy Mavericks team, I would feel good about taking
But
that.
you don't have that right now.
In the last 2 weeks, it's just been that Luka went down with something that's very concerning. Kyrie went down with something that's very concerning. So, no, I don't feel great about it. So, current state of all the teams aside, like there's the Thunder and then there's literally no one else. You know, they say the Thunder and everyone else. There's the Thunder and no one else.
P.S. It's an abject disaster. One of the things that ran through my mind last night, I'm like, I don't know how many games this team is going to win. They do have a decent head start on
They were up 15
wise.
on the Grizzlies, just for the record, in the first half.
Yeah, they also got beat by 15.
I know. I watched.
I don't know how many games that team is going to win, but it's an abject disaster for those top seeds if they are the ones that fall down. If
this happened in the Eastern Conference last year.
I got you.
But
Bro,
as a Knicks fan, I'm like, wait, we're playing Joel Embiid and Maxey
let me just tell you something.
Round as a 2 seed?
Let me tell you something. If you're Oklahoma City or you're Houston or you're Memphis, those are the top 3 teams right now in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. The last thing on earth you want to see is Dallas at 6, 7, or 8. That is abject
You win
disaster.
your way into a Luka Kyrie matchup. You win your way into it.
And that is
congratulations on the 2 seed, guys.
And that's a real thing that could happen.
Oh, yeah.
Given their circumstances.
You can see Steph there. You can see Wemby there. You know, there's some lurkers down there in the 6 through 10.
My point is this.
Kevin Durant there?
My point is this. Much like we saw last year with Dallas, I am convinced that these teams augmenting their teams within this next month's time is going to change who we think can be in the Western Finals. I do. And I actually think, by the way, because we didn't talk about this much, I thought it was absolutely enormous for the Lakers to get Finney-Smith. I love that piece for them. Also, another team, if they are healthy and they're bringing Reeves and LeBron and Davis and Finney-Smith and Hachimura and that group to the party, again, another team, a young team, does not want to see. And fair. I say that as a fan of a young team. Like, you don't want to see that team when it comes playoff time.
Oh, hell no.
And but they augmented their team and I think improved their chances. I think the Lakers' chances of being a Western Conference finalist improved greatly by adding him to the mix.
I mean,
and now it's going to be the other teams. The other teams got to add people.
I think that here's the thing that I love what you said is just looking at the top 3 in the Western Conference, because I think it's fair to say there's those 3 and there's a pretty big drop off, right? And we're talking about the Grizzlies, the Rockets, and of course the Thunder. Every one of those teams feels like a susceptible first-round exit team.
Yeah, there's not a huge drop-off between those. Look, the regular season is a much different world
in
than
terms
the
of standings. Not in
Correct.
terms of playoff team quality,
right.
In terms of like where they're going to end up in the standings. I don't see the Rockets going into the play-in, even though they're only 4 games away from it.
No.
But all of those teams will not be as favored as 1 through 3 seeds are traditionally favored in the playoffs, depending on the matchups, of course, because there are some Hall of Fame veteran basketball players that are going to be in the play-in. I'm talking about Kevin Durant. I'm talking about LeBron James.
But look at I'm saying all those teams, because Memphis tried to get Finney-Smith. All of those teams, and they're 2, and you don't know. I know the Rockets have been leaking to everybody. We're not doing anything. We want to keep it all together. Whatever. But I mean, if you're looking at it, and especially anybody with eyeballs, and you're watching Oklahoma City, and you're going, how am I going to be able to compete with them? If you want to win right now, all of these teams from 2 down, and you might even say Oklahoma City would want to even improve themselves if they had the opportunity to do it and add, because their name had been floated around with a Cam Johnson or whatever, right? Yeah. Another guy they could chuck it out to and reliably knock down shots to best fit around Gilgeous-Alexander. But I think, honestly, from 2 down, all of them realistically look at their team and go, if we want to make the Western Conference Finals, we're not good enough right now.
So I agree with your take that a team on the verge, I like the Mavericks last year, makes some trade deadline moves. I think Washington was before the deadline or whatever. But here's the thing that I'm going to take your take and sort of twist it a little bit. It was Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, right? It wasn't a superstar. It wasn't an all-star. And the thing that we love to talk about the big names at the trade deadline. We love to talk about, Jimmy Butler. Where's Jimmy Butler going to go? I'm sure we're going to get to that. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. What a perfect fit that would be.
Right.
But the guys that are really going to change the sort of playoff picture and the contenders or pretenders line aren't always the biggest names. Like
it's
last year,
players. You're right.
It's Dan Gafford from the Bulls and the Wizards. Like most people that just like the NBA have no idea who Daniel Gafford is.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was tearing it up for the Wizards. I don't know if you remember that little couple weeks that he had after he got traded.
So to your point, it might be, and you look at
Cam
those
Johnson.
names. You look at those names. It could be a Cam Johnson. It could be a Jeremy Grant.
I got one for you. I like Jeremy Grant. I got Nick Claxton. No one talks about Nick Claxton.
Nick Claxton. It could be a Colin Sexton. It could be Jordan Clarkson, as a heater off your bench. Like,
that's what I'm saying to you is we spend so much time talking about would De'Aaron Fox fit with Wemby?
Or Zach LaVine.
Probably not going to happen.
Or
Jimmy, what would Jimmy Butler on the Warriors? Like, probably not going to happen. But what is going to happen is Colin Sexton's going to end up somewhere.
Right.
Jordan Clarkson's going to end up somewhere. Nick Claxton's going to end up somewhere. Cam Johnson's going to end up somewhere. And to take what you have to say about the trade deadline being as impactful this year as last year, I don't have the specifics of who's going to where, but I think we spend a lot of time talking about the big names because the big names get the clicks and the ratings and the whatever. But it's going to be like Colin Sexton.
That's right.
That's going to change the Western Conference.
And they're the harder ones because now it's so punitive to deal for the big names.
Yeah.
They get paid so much money.
Yeah. Even the little names are hard to get done. But like we've been talking about Jimmy Butler getting traded, and we will later in the show, I'm sure. But like it's just hard to do. Hard to do.
No, the amount of teams that even have a possibility of doing it is so narrow.
So here's my first one. And it dovetails right off of this. I'm going to lead with the thesis, and then I'll offer some supporting. Now, again, this is somewhat bombastic, but I'm just going to say it out loud. The Warriors are washed as a franchise, and repeats of this season over and over might be how Steph Curry's career plays out.
Oh, wow.
Listen, they're 4-8 since December 11th. They're 6-14 in their last 20 games. Right now, they're tied for the 8th seed. Behind them are the Timberwolves, the Spurs, and the Kings, all of which could end up with a better record than the Warriors. All of which, I'm pretty sure the Kings and the Wolves will end up with a better record than the Warriors. The Suns are behind them as well. I'm sure we'll get to them. They're the 19th offense in the league, the 9th defense. Their biggest trade chip, if they're one of these teams that wants to improve, the latest reports are that they've got their eyes not on Jimmy Butler, but on Vucevic, who would be a great fit for this team, in my opinion. But Kuminga just got hurt.
That was a disaster.
Kuminga just got hurt.
That's the thing that could not happen.
And if you look at the salaries of Curry and Draymond, they're not going to move with either one of those guys. I just don't see a roadmap for this team to be not just a contender, but to be a sort of like a guaranteed playoff seed 1 through 6.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In the next couple years. I don't see it.
Okay. I think this is where you and I are going to split ways. I think they're going to go all in. I think they're going to take their big risk. I mean, obviously the Kuminga thing is troubling, but I think you are pulling the win now trade that you have not pulled.
That's what I would do as a franchise. But that's now with Kuminga, imagine you're a used car salesman. You're trying to sell them a Buick, and they get in the car for the test drive, and the car won't start. That is Kuminga right now. It's like that's what you're selling. You're selling Kuminga, and he's not playing. Again, it was a twisted ankle. It'll probably be like
well, it's also
you're
also selling him a Buick that is going to want you to pay $200 million for it in the offseason.
Yeah. It wants the best gas. It doesn't want regular gas. It wants that expensive gas.
You know what I mean? So that's a tough part.
Man. I'm looking at the Warriors team, and the 12-5 start was so great, and the defense was so good. But man, have they fallen off a cliff. And on top of that, it's like I have another prediction for this Warriors team.
No, but they're a perfect risk team. Exactly what we were talking about, though. Like you can't, nobody's fooling themselves there. They're like, what does it matter if we take a big swing? But we have to augment this roster because we've only got X amount of Curry time left.
But I just don't.
You just don't think there's a big swing to be taken.
I think Vucevic would be like a Butler. I just don't see it. I mean, I just can't see a world in which
LaVine.
So
LaVine.
I love LaVine. I love LaVine this year. Like his last 5 games, LaVine is 37, 15, not great, 32, 33, and 35 points.
Wouldn't it change your opinion if they added him?
Yes. But depending on what the cost. If the cost is Kuminga and Wiggins, yeah, I'm in.
Right.
Again, they're not contending.
So I think there is a swing.
They're not contending.
I think there's a swing to be made, though.
I think they'll be active because they see
where you're going to
happening.
look up and you're going to go, man, they got Dennis Schroeder, and they got Curry, and they got Draymond, and now they added blank. The question is, who's that blank?
So here's another thing I want to point out. Here's my question for you, right? Because I just see with this Curry Draymond pairing, I see them repeating this season over and over. And is that just because they've had a tough schedule and their next like 10 games are like easier to win? Is this a rough patch or is this a rough season for the Warriors?
I think probably more towards a rough patch. I think they are pretty good, which is like a lot of these teams, right? I think on one night we can watch and we go, hey, man, watch out for the Spurs. And then the Spurs lose to the Bulls. And I think one night, like over the weekend, I watched the Warriors beat Memphis and shoot fireballs from 3.
I mean, Steph went 8 for 8 in the game.
No. That wasn't that game.
No, it's a different game. I know. I'm saying.
But, right, no, he did go 8 for 8. And then he didn't play in the Memphis game. And they made like 23 or 24 threes in the game. Like, they just shot fireballs on Saturday night. And so I think a lot of these teams are like that. Catch them on a night and you'll have a much different opinion on if you catch them in another night, but certainly a rough patch.
I have a very quick Warriors prediction because I've got my eye on the Warriors games and I can feel something bubbling from deep underneath the San Andreas Fault there in the Bay. Just feeling some murmurs, some tremors. Draymond Green. Remember he yelled at Siobhan O'Hield?
Oh,
told him to sit on the bench?
Yep.
And then remember, I know you saw this. In that Warriors Memphis game, he got into it with Edie a little bit after that little soft back and forth. I know you saw that. And then you see him after he put a really strong pick on Keon Ellis, who just didn't see it coming. It's one of those like blindside hits. You saw that? And then him and Kerr lost their minds yelling at the ref. And Kerr's like, it's a flop. And then you watch the replay. It's not a flop whatsoever. I feel some murmurs and some tremblings that we're going to get a Draymond Green blow up in the next 2 weeks. A full-on multiple-game suspension. I feel it building. I feel the frustration, the losses mounting, the small incidents getting bigger and bigger, that there's going to be a huge Draymond blow-up in the next 10 days. Just remember where you heard it first, the mismatch.
I think this is a really good prediction. Really good.
You can feel it, right?
Yep.
You can just feel it coming.
Yep.
There's been enough like towing the line, not exactly exploding, but he's going to explode soon. He's going to get suspended for 5 days, and then he's going to come back, and we're going to pretend like it never happened.
Okay, next one. So we have had a lot of impressive seasons. We've mentioned Oklahoma City. We've mentioned Cleveland many times throughout the last couple of months doing this podcast. I would say that in terms of most impressive teams thus far, as we are almost to the halfway point of the season, Orlando has to be at the very top. I mean, like, they've lost everybody, as you chronicled earlier. Like, it's what Paulo has played like 4 games. Franz Wagner then took over and ended up being their best player, and they were getting wins on a regular basis. And then they hold this team meeting, and they say, all right, now we've lost Franz. Everybody rally behind Jalen Suggs. And then Jalen Suggs gets hurt. And Mo Wagner has been like this revelation and like one of the best bench guys in the league for them. Not to mention bringing like this fight and fire every single night. And you look, they are in like the bottom 5 or 6 in the league in offensive rating.
26.
But they are 2 in defensive rating. Like the ability for Mosley, this is truly a no matter who plays team. Because for them to be able, and now like Cole Anthony's making plays and having nights, and Cole Anthony was completely out of the rotation, and Juwan Howard's kid is knocking down shots. You're cussing his name last night as you're texting me like, oh my God, the Knicks are getting done in by Juwan Howard's kid. And it's like,
Juwan Howard's kid giving the business.
It's crazy. Like, so not only am I all caught up in like they bring their hard hats and defend you every single night, and they're such a bitch to play against, and that's how they get wins. Like, it's the most non-aesthetically pleasing to your average fan because they are winning solely because they are amazing on defense. Like, we know that. Mm-hmm. And they are offensively putrid. The numbers bear that out. And they are without, like, their starting lineup last night against the Knicks is unfathomable. Like, truly unfathomable. It's Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tristan Da Silva, Goga Bitadze, and Caleb Houston. That's the 5 guys that started last night in a win.
And handily beat the Knicks. It wasn't a buzzer beater.
A win. All right. So how can you make them more fun and more entertaining? Because they're without their guys. How can you make them more fun and entertaining? Their social media presence is, I mean, it's 100 out of 10. 100 out of 10. The video they put up after the Raptors win, where they had the fake Drake singing, acting like, where they mimicked it like he was singing along to the song. And this whole play the song thing.
Play the song.
Dude, I love the song. I love it. The Orlando Magic song is like, I look forward to their wins just so I can hear it.
Hocus pocus, alakazam, gonna set the spirit free. Orlando Magic, Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
So good.
So good.
It's so good.
Oh, dude.
I want your team to win. It's honestly, this is very reminiscent, and I know it was manufactured.
Oh, it's Light the Beam. This is Light the Beam 2.0.
It really is. And it's like
it's better. It's better than Light the Beam. It's better than Light the Beam. This is like Light the Beam and LiAngelo Ball's latest song had a baby. That's what this is. It's just got the zeitgeist. And Verno, I saw that you mentioned this in the rundown, so I did some digging. There's a 3-minute documentary about the making of this song. And there are this father-son duo in like a studio in South Florida. And they just cooked up this song. And there's this one point when the news reporter, again, an investigative journalist, is talking about the creation of this song.
Wait, when was this made?
A couple years ago. It looks like it's kind of recent.
Okay.
But here is the part of the song in which was discussed. And these are some of the greatest lyrics to ever be written by the human species and spoken into a microphone. Listen to this.
Spirit in Orlando, there's a magic in our town. There's a heartbeat pounding in the street. It's so fantastic and out of control. You can feel the power under your feet. Abracadabra, razzmatazz, slam
Abracadabra, Razzmatazz, Slam Dunk, Sesame.
Amazing.
Sesame. And then he's asked, the man who wrote the lyrics, he goes, the journalist goes, like, what was the motivation behind that? He goes, just a lot of Jack Daniels.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, what?
Dude, I want them to win just so I can hear the song. Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
Whoa.
I love it. I love the song.
It's such a
I'm
good
glad we're on
gimmick.
the same page.
Oh, absolutely. And again, please just Google Orlando Magic song and you'll see this 3-minute piece this guy did about it. You'll see the interview with the guys that made it. It's just great.
I mean, to make they are a defensive team. It's like if the 04 Pistons had like a goofy song that comes along with it. It's like, okay, nobody particularly likes to watch this, like in terms of the team that grinds you out and beats you. But then you have this goofy ass song, and I'm like, and the other thing is that they are a young team that is doing it as like they get bad news. It feels like once a week. And somehow have kept winning. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I love last night is Wendell Carter tried to do a sort of between the legs drop pass for Cole Anthony, but Cole Anthony cut the other direction and he's kind of like threw it to no one. Instead of Jamal Mosley on the sideline cursing out and like getting mad, he just laughed with them. He's just like, "You're ridiculous. This is stupid. Let's beat the Knicks and go on." I'm going to go on myself and we're going to pick up the pace here. So there's a lot of discussion about the trade as we head to the trade deadline and Jimmy Butler. We all know we've chronicled what's happening there, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that keeps coming up, which is just baffles me, is I'm going to read the history of players in the National Basketball Association. And this comes up every once in a while. So I didn't do this research myself, that have ever had no trade clauses in their contracts. David Robinson, John Stockton, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Bradley fucking Beal. How did this happen?
Mark Bartle's
2022.
The guy is amazing.
In 2022, he signed a 5-year extension worth $251 million, and that wasn't enough to get him to sign. He had to have a no-trade clause in his contract. How did this happen?
I mean,
how is he on a list with all of those people I named are in the top 50 players of all time?
No,
Brad Beal has a no-trade clause. So Brad Beal has the power that LeBron James does, that Dwayne Wade does, that Dirk Nowitzki does to say, "Oh, you want to trade me? Well, guess what? I will trade me. I will say no to anything I don't want." The idea that this was put in a contract by a franchise and signed by Bradley Beal is just negligence. It's just negligence.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable. I can't believe that you would accuse the Wizards of negligence considering they haven't won 50 games in like 50 years since Wes Unseld was playing.
But it's also the Suns trading for that. It's like you traded for someone with a no trade clause. Did you really think this was going to go swimmingly? You think you're just going to just rip off a couple back-to-back Larry O'Brien trophies?
Hey, but look, he's been moved to the bench with great result. They had great result after they
Or they beat the Nets.
Yeah, they just decided to move him and Nurk. Right, they're going to be coming off the bench now.
No, they beat the stupid Sixers last night. That's what happened. Yeah.
The two most underperforming, unlikable teams going.
I call it the disappointment bowl in my notes. I was just like, this is just the disappointment bowl. It was gross. I didn't even watch any of it. But how did Bradley Beal get a no trade clause? Like how?
It's the Wizards, bro.
Was there another team that was in a bidding war for Bradley Beal that was going to offer him a no trade clause?
You could have. I mean, if you were to run through all of the business decisions made by the Washington Wizards over the last 50 years, you would be absolutely mortified.
Can't do that to House. Can't do it to House.
Hey, look, to your point, though, everybody is tradable. everybody, we were talking about this with the Jimmy Butler thing, and you say, who could possibly do it? Bro, Brad Beal got traded. Ben Simmons, who wasn't even playing basketball, got traded.
But if
everybody can be traded. We never know how it's going to happen,
but how would you
everybody
trade?
can.
Why would the Miami Heat be like, you know what? Jimmy Butler's a problem. He's poisoning our franchise. He's sabotaging us. Let's trade him for Bradley Beal so he can poison our franchise and sabotage us for longer at the same amount of money. Like, why?
All right. My last take.
You got two more.
Oh, yeah, two more. Dunking on Wemby, which happened last night. I'll let you hear it. Kobe White dunked on Wemby.
Jacoby White.
Levine against Paul. The drive, the kick. Kobe White drives it. All the way.
Dunk it! Dunk it, Kobe White! Get up or get out the way! He said, meet me at the rim. Where you at, Wemby? I didn't see you.
Watch this.
Wemby! It's okay, give me a poster, but I've got my poster machine. We sold it at Aldi's. Oh, Lord. Where's my poster machine? Come on, we need to get the poster. This is a perfect poster. Oh, shout out to everybody. I'm sorry, I can't even make a poster, ladies and gentlemen.
I love Stacey King.
He just
I
said,
love
shout
him.
out to everybody.
Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to everybody. Just shout out to everybody.
All right, here's my take. Dunking on Wemby. Wemby is the best person to dunk on ever. So hear me out.
Oh, Sean Bradley just raised his hand. Sean Bradley's like, how dare you?
Those guys, so we have had freaks of nature prior to, right? Like the Bobons and the Bradleys and the Murasons and the Manute Bowles and whatever, right? But, and then we've had the unbelievable shot blockers like the Dikembe Mutombos and the Alonzo Mournings, the 6'11", 7-foot guys,
Shot
right?
card, yeah.
When you combine the freakish height with ability, right? So not only does he has the freakish height of the guys who are the most fun to get watched somebody dunk on them, but he also has the abilities of like the Mutombos and the Mournings and the great shot blockers and rim protectors that we have ever seen. To me, that combination put together, because the tallest guys, the freaks of nature, didn't always have that talent that goes along with it. And the talent guys, the greatest rim protectors ever, in many cases, didn't have that kind of circus height. You have the circus height and the talent. I say he is the best person to dunk on ever. I think that's the best poster you can have.
I will say this. You make some good points, and I think that people take particular pleasure in dunking on him right now at this stage in his career, because there is the like, oh, this is your king? This is the future face of the league? This guy? That Kobe White, who's probably 6'2", just dunked all over? But I'll say this.
I will say this, though. He has not caught the resent, though, that, like, guys do love dunking on Gobert because they don't think he's as good as people say, and they don't like him.
Well,
I
another
think
thing
people
about
like
Wemby,
they all think he's awesome.
When you notice, when people dunk on Wemby, a lot of the time, like that Kobe dunk, Jacoby White, I should say, is he's always like turning. He's a little late in his help, or he's like, it's not really his guy. They're not like measuring each other up from 2 steps out. It's always like he's kind of a little late to the party and kind of half jumps. But if he gets a full on, like I'm going through my brain. I've not seen someone just chest to chest rise up over Wemby,
like straddle him, and
like
knock
really
him
dunk
down
on him when he sees it coming a second before it happens. It's usually like he's the help defender that's turning and gets there a little late and is disadvantaged in the air. But here's why I will say that I've always said that the good defenders get dunked on a lot because they're trying to defend the rim. And here's a quote from Wemby that I can read because it was in French, and most of our listeners don't speak French. Bonjour. Quote, "Getting dunked on is nothing. It's part of the game. I dunk on a lot of people, and a lot of people dunk on me too, but I think I block more often than I get dunked on, so that's a positive."
Yep.
God bless you, Wembenyama.
God
We've
bless
always
you.
talked about how he's sort of a philosopher. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I fucking love that. He's
Sure.
like, it's nothing to me. I'm going to keep blocking shots. I think he had 8 blocks in that game last night, by the way. I'm serious.
Yes.
We're going to talk about him getting dunked on. I think he had 8 blocks in the game. Like, he's blowing away blocking records. He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. And he's like, getting dunked on is nothing. Bring it on. I'm going to get dunked on. I'm also going to block a bunch of dunks.
Because I think he's the hardest one to do it against.
Yeah.
He's 7'5", and he's awesome at blocking
He's
shots.
skilled at it. He's a great rim protector. He's not just like, oh, I'm going to block some shots because I'm 7'5". I'm 7'5", and I'm a shot blocker.
No, when you're that good, people don't even try. That's why you don't see guys trying to dunk on him. You see guys look up and they stop their drives and kick it out. That's what happens more often than not. So shout out to Kobe White. That was crazy.
Jacoby White. Okay, I'll make this one quick. Kawhi Leonard has returned. We've all watched. He's been fine. He wasn't great last night. He looks really skinny, which I kind of like. Because I hate it, you know what I mean? Like, you see Luka coming off this injury, he's going to end up looking like me with his shirt off. You know what I mean? It's like, but Kawhi looks trim, looks in shape, and I'm sure he's going to round himself into playing, stuff. But I'm biased on this. I'm a Jeff Van Gundy fan. I loved him when he was the Knicks coach. I can't sit here and act like I know him well from working with him. His number's not in my phone. We probably exchange quick conversations about hoops once in a while. But I love him as a commentator. I love him as a personality. I love him as a basketball mind. And here's what Kawhi Leonard said was it what it's like being coached by Jeff Van Gundy, who's essentially like the defensive coordinator for the Clippers. Here's what he said, quote, he's locked in. This is Kawhi on Jeff Van Gundy. He's locked in. He watches a lot of film. He lets you know he watches a lot of film. He tells you, nobody watches this shit more than me. When you hear a coach say that, it gives you confidence as a player to know that he knows what he's talking about when you step onto that floor. I love this pairing. Here's my question for you, and I think it might be true. Kawhi Leonard coming back, getting into sort of like mid-season form with a defense that's already good, with one of the best defensive coordinators in the history of the league and one of the best players defensively in the history of the league. Could a Jeff Van Gundy and Kawhi Leonard pairing catapult this Clippers team into that sort of top tier in the Western Conference?
I think he would have to be awesome offensively.
He can be.
No, I know. I mean, he would have to be healthy and awesome offensively because I got it. Norm Powell has been very good. James Harden and the Zubats thing has worked out. But I mean, if Kawhi Leonard was the guy that like, I'm going to war and I can count on him getting me the 30-point game tonight in a playoff game, then yeah, I mean, but again, are we at that moment? Are we at the moment where we think that Kawhi Leonard can still do that?
Listen to me.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard, Norm Powell, Derek Jones, James Harden, Zuba.
A lot of vets.
That's a closing 5.
Yeah.
That's a closing 5. Derek Jones and Kawhi can play defense. Zubac can do what he does around the rim.
And they have held the fort down without him, and they are doing it much like we have talked about. You look and you go, how do they have as good a record as they have? And the answer is because they are great defensively. And that's a night in, night out thing that they are able to do it. Now, we know that when it comes playoff time, what happens is the same way that they are on a night in, night out basis, there's not that many teams, honestly, because I get to see all these teams come through, that you feel like they have truly game planned against you extremely well for that night. And I think the teams that do stand out. Your Knicks are one of those teams that you very rarely, when you play against a Tibbs team, you know, like they've got a game plan. This is what we're going to be trying to do. They're going to be showing you something different. Rick Carlisle teams back in the Dallas days did that a lot. It was something that you would see. And so you have a true advantage on a night in, night out basis with defense in the NBA. But when it comes playoff time, now everybody's doing that. Everybody's game planning in that way. And now you have to be much better offensively than what they have proven to be thus far. Like, you can't win with defense in the playoffs. You still, it's going to expose that your guys have to be able to make shots. And
so how about, here's my final take.
Yep.
I'm not saying the Clippers are going to win the NBA championship, but I'm saying the Clippers will outperform current expectations from now until the end of the regular season.
If they have a healthy Kawhi Leonard, another one of those teams.
He's going to load, man. He's going to play 3 out of 4 games. But that's fine.
I will say, if you told me that Clippers team is healthy, again, another bitch for a young team to play against.
Yeah.
You don't want any part of that. All right, my last one. And this is a goofy one. Make a confession here, Jacoby.
Sorry.
And I shouldn't even, it's not even fair to say it's a guilty pleasure.
Do you want to stop recording? You want to talk?
No, because everybody likes this. I'm in on the LiAngelo Ball song.
Oh,
and yeah. I might swerve, bend the corner. Whoa. And
it's one of those things where it's like, it's nostalgic.
It's the throwback.
And it's also like, are we making fun of this song or do we love this song? Because I think we love this song.
We love it. Hey,
but if you guys are making fun of it, I'm also making fun of it, but I think we're not making fun of it, right, guys?
Do you see who's credited with the lyrics?
Of course I did.
Lonzo
writing.
All right, so, and I saw somebody post this. LaMelo's like leading in all-star votes. LiAngelo is the hottest rapper in the world.
Fact. That's an indisputable data-backed fact.
Outstreaming everybody on YouTube. And Lonzo is writing the song and back on the court for the first time in 3 years.
Dunking.
Amazing.
See him dunk last week?
Shout out to LeVar Ball. Look at him.
Yes. Shout out to LeVar Ball.
Thriving.
Do you remember, like, it's one of those things. Do you remember, like, the probably 4 months where LeVar Ball had the sports media industry in an absolute chokehold?
Oh, yeah.
He was the biggest thing you could get. Remember when Kwame Brown had sports media in a chokehold for a month? What happened to him?
I wanted to hate on the song. Can't do it.
You can't.
No, I like you too much. I like you too much.
The Lions, they get the number 1 seed. They beat their division rival, Vikings on the last game of the last week of the regular season with all the eyeballs. They get into the locker room, and all you can hear is play that Jello. That's all you can hear.
And Donovan Mitchell was mad they were playing into the background of the Cavs locker room.
Of course they were playing it. Of course they were.
Of course. Everybody, it's taken over.
It's like a Hawk Tua thing. It's just like sometimes certain things inexplicably strike a nerve that it would take 1 million psychologists to figure out why, and they still wouldn't be able to figure out why. Scientists, people try to break this all down. There's certain things that just catch fire. And this song has.
Everybody's trying to make hot songs. LiAngelo and Lonzo did it. They did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are artists they're going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're, quadruple platinum selling.
Yeah.
They have marketing teams and have the best producers in the best studio, and their video cost $10 million. And they've got the social media managers, and they've got millions of dollars of people behind them. And, and they're just trying to capture 1/10 of what this dude did by going, I bend the corner. Whoa.
G3.
G3. All right, my last one is this. I just wanted to, first of all, this isn't my last one, but I want to give a shout out to this quote from Russell Westbrook. Because one of my favorite things happening is the buddy cop film between Westbrook and Jokic that we're all getting to witness every single Nuggets game. Here's what he said, quote, a lot of the time we communicate without having to say nothing. We be thinking the same thing. I love Westbrook and Jokic pairing so much. So much.
How could you not?
But here's what I really figured out. I know that Jimmy Butler's days in Miami are over. And I know this because I saw a headline. The Jimmy Butler mural was vandalized. Someone wrote, I quit on it. The headband. Someone put a trade badge on his jersey. And on his coffee mug, someone wrote, pay me. And I saw the headline. I said to myself, this is crazy. I thought it was going to be vandals with spray paint all over the mural. But I did some research.
Pat Riley did it.
Kyle Holbrook is the name of the man who did it.
Oh, wait,
Kyle Holbrook is the artist that painted the mural. It wasn't vandalized. It was remixed. The artist who spent probably a month designing this thing, another month painting it, heard Jimmy Butler's words about joy in Miami playing basketball, and he went back to the mural that he made of this man and did a remix of it. This wasn't like some kids coming by with some spray paint and vandalizing it. The actual artist himself did this disparaging commentary on Jimmy Butler's position in Miami. And when I saw that, I said, there is no future. He will never play another game for the Miami Heat.
It's not even vandalism at that point.
It's not vandalism.
It's not.
The artist did that to his own art. It was not vandalized. And I looked at some other headlines. They say like, oh, Miami fans write this on the mural. No. The artist himself did this.
Wow.
That leads me to say Jimmy Butler will never play another second in a Miami Heat uniform, suspension or no. Do you disagree?
Oh, no. I don't think he's going to be playing there. You know,
another second. Another second.
You've seen the updated odds.
Let's talk about it. Listen, if the people got this far into the podcast, they deserve to know.
What if Jimmy Buckets comes to Memphis?
Hold on a second. Let's let the people behind the curtain a little bit. In the group chat, Bill sends you a missive as the local Grizzlies expert in the group chat. Bill just simply says, why wouldn't the Grizzlies trade for Jimmy Butler? And your response was?
They will never trade Desmond Bane, but I do think that there is a trade that could be put together.
What's it look like, Grizzlies guy?
I mean, you've seen it everywhere. It includes Marcus Smart. It includes Luke Kennard, maybe Brandon Clark, picks.
What picks?
I mean,
why would Miami do this? Why would Miami do this? Is that the best they're going to get for Jimmy Butler?
Yes.
Marcus Smart?
Yes.
How many games has he played this season? 4?
What is the best they're going to get out of
Brandon Clark? Where in the depth chart? Where in the depth chart is Brandon Clark for the Grizzlies?
All three of those guys are in their rotation. Give me a break.
Luke Kennard just got back in the rotation, and you know that.
Okay,
he had 2 DMPs last week. You know that. You don't need me to tell you about where Luke Kennard is in the rotation.
Please refresh me on the Jimmy Butler value right now, please.
Oh, I don't want him. I don't know who wants him.
Okay, so then what are you talking about?
So why do you want him? You're going to extend Jimmy Butler into 2029?
How are you getting better players?
Are you going to extend Jimmy Butler into 2029?
Make it a 2-year deal?
I don't think that's what he's looking for, bro.
Okay, well, I mean, could you let him play this out and then say you want to do whatever? 2 years,
option in next
2 years, $90 million or whatever.
The Grizzlies. Do you really want this to happen? Do you want this to happen?
Bro, I lived through Dylan Brooks. Yes. I'll take anything at a small forward. What are you talking about?
I don't think the Heat want Brandon Clark, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, and like a second. Or even first in 2028.
You asked me if I want Jimmy Butler. Look, I'm trying to go to war when it comes to the playoffs. And if I get to bring him to the table, I'll bring him to the table. Again, you're the core of your. If I do not want him unless the core of the team could be completely kept intact. No matter what, you're going to have John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jared Jackson. If that is additive, and they have tried, they swing. You know that they've been swinging to try to get a piece like that. They tried for Miles Bridges. They just tried for Dorian Finney-Smith, and then the Lakers swooped in for him. And so, at some point, but I mean, if you could get him for, pennies on the dollar, which very well may be the case. They just suspended the guy for 7 games.
Well, I tell you,
what are they getting for him, bro?
I don't need to tell you about the Grizzlies, but they're not going to miss Luke Kennard. They're not going to miss Marcus Smart. They'll miss Brandon Clark. But
you would also
Jimmy
have
Butler,
you also have Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson both coming back into your lineup within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see why the Heat would do that. I understand why the Grizzlies would do that, but what I'm not doing is giving Jimmy Butler a 3-year extension.
The reason that you built up all these assets is for this moment, so that you can take a run at great players.
No
got
Bane.
too many.
You would not put Bane in.
Hell no. What? No. Absolutely not.
You draw the line at Desmond Bane? You're not even entertained?
At his age,
Bane for Butler?
One of the best 3-point shooters alive? No way. Baines had 30-point playoff games himself. That's happened already. I know nobody has paid any attention, but that's happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Butler ends up on the Grizzlies,
bro,
you're already insufferable.
You want to walk into a gym and see John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Zach Edey? Okay.
But you had me until Zach Edey. I was like, dog. Not really a dog. Zach Edey, a freak show.
A freak show. You're right.
Freak show. Yeah. John Morant and Jimmy Butler on the same team would make me very happy. And John Morant and Jimmy Butler after like going up 2-0 on the Suns or whatever would make me so happy just to see them in the post-game podium.
Oh, and look, wherever Jimmy Butler lands, you're going to watch the media reaction is going to be, it's dependent on where he goes is what the reaction's going to be. People won't love it if it's Memphis. People will love it if it's Golden State. Mark my words.
I think that's fair to say, but people will love it if it's Memphis too. You can't do this like underdog, no one loves us Memphis Grizzlies thing because people love the Grizzlies. Like, come on. It's a very lovable team. It's a very lovable team. It is. And I'll say this. I was looking at the conduct detrimental to the team thing, the 7-game suspension. There's no chance they could possibly uphold this. Like, there's no chance.
I mean, I don't know.
I think
you could show that. Did you see the clip during the Pelicans game where they did swing? They threw it to the corner and he shot the thing off 1 foot. I mean,
if I did that in a pickup game, my friends would be like, "Bro, what are you doing?"
So I think that I don't know. I think that does kind of hold up. No, I think if you showed that video, you could be like, "Come on, bro."
But I remember looking back. I remember he had this illness that kept him out for like 7 games. And I was like, "How sick was this man?"
Let's just act like it's let's act like it goes to like arbitration or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and I show that. Okay, no, and I show, and that's what I present as my evidence. I say, we swing. You caught this ball in the corner, lifted up your foot, and shot it like you're dicking around. Okay, why did you shoot that off of 1 foot?
Well,
okay, Jimmy, I ask you, Jimmy, why?
As Mr. Butler's defense, I will now offer up many clips from some of the best players in the NBA doing the exact same thing. Here's Jokic, 3-time MVP. Here's LaMelo Ball, who averages 30 points a game. And here we have one of the best scorers of all time, Dirk Nowitzki. They're all doing the exact same thing. So you're telling me that my client is not playing hard when he's just mimicking the best players of all time, including LaMelo Ball, who I just added as one of the best players of all time.
LaMelo Ball. Swerve around the corner. Whoa. All right. It's a ridiculous shot, to say the least. And I agree with you, though. I doubt that
you can't.
He's not going to lose $2 million.
You can't prove someone's not playing hard. You just can't. Like, if I could show you clips of Jokic, you'd be like, this guy's not even running. He's not even trying. You know, like he barely looks like he's trying the whole time, and he's the best player in the league.
Or DeAndre Ayton's entire career.
Yeah,
all right.
He's got 1 speed first year.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of The Mismatch. Thank you to our executive producer, Jesse Lopez, as always. Jacoby, I'll talk to you later this week.